Welcome to the Detroit Lions Morning Rounds. This is Jimmy Liao, University of Michigan Medical School graduate. So let's do a recap of Game 4. Lions lose to the Saints. Lions get blown out by the Saints. Yeah, they only lost by 6 points, but it was a blowout. It was domination. About halfway through the game, we were all hoping and wishing that the game had instead been canceled due to Michael Burton's COVID test. Unfortunately, the game proceeded as scheduled. Lions went up 14, but with our defense, with how miserable and horrible the defense is, all Lions fans knew that no lead was safe. The Saints were able to score whenever they wanted. The only reason the Lions stopped them on the first drive was a lucky tipped pass going for an interception. Now, Danny Shelton made a good play tipping the pass. However, 90% of the time that pass falls harmlessly to the ground. Fortunately, this time they got the interception. Stafford was able to capitalize through a good tight pass to Kenny Golladay for a touchdown. So Stafford started off the game pretty well. However, the next drive, the Saints marched all the way down the field, 9 or 10 yards per play, absolutely no resistance. All right, before we get too far into it, let's talk about injuries. Trufant re-injured, re-aggravated his hamstring. That's always a concern with hamstring injuries. They can take weeks to heal. If you come back a week or two early, step the wrong way, it can get re-aggravated. That's probably especially true on the defensive side versus Kenny Golladay on the offensive side. As a defender, you can't plan out your move 2 steps in advance. You can't think ahead to what you're going to do with your body. You have to react to what the offensive player is doing, and sometimes that quick reaction causes you to aggravate a hamstring injury. So Trufant will hopefully be back after the bye, but who knows. Justin Coleman, who's also out with the hamstring, is eligible to be back after the bye. However, his hamstring injury looked very serious. I would expect him to be out potentially a few more weeks. A severe hamstring strain can last 2 to 3 months. All right, let's talk about the offense, which is the silver lining, the bright spot of the team, even though it's not playing that great. There was more aggressive play calling early, a lot more first down passes, a lot more play action on first down, fake it to AP, not give it to him every single time on first and second down. And that worked out well early in the game. DeAndre Swift looked good. 4 runs for 22 yards, 4 receptions for 30 yards. Showed a good burst, good quickness. A little bit more than I've seen from Adrian Peterson or Kerryon Johnson. I want to see Swift get the ball more. We drafted him in the high second round, the second running back taken behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's been doing great for the Chiefs. DeAndre Swift could be a star player for us. We got to give him opportunities to show if he can or not. Adrian Peterson, as previously mentioned, had some decent runs, but overall mediocre. 11 runs for 36 yards, 3.3 average. Overall, in these first 4 games, AP has had quite a few good chunk yardage runs, more than I really expected at his age and at his stage of this career. However, I still want to see Kerryon and DeAndre get the ball. They have a higher ceiling, and they are our future. They're going to be on the team next year for sure. AP is not. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford. Too many poor passes for him again. Too many sacks taken after waiting too long in the pocket. His weakness throughout his career has been his inability to escape the pass rush and navigate the pocket. That continues to show itself. Sometimes he steps forward in the pocket, gets himself into trouble when he should have stepped back. Other times it's the opposite. He has not looked great these first 4 games, and again, did not look great against the Saints. One of his worst passes was a deep sideline pass where he just threw up a jump ball to Jesse James. That should have been intercepted, but he got extremely lucky. Jesse James made a great play after the ball went through the defender's hands. That's one of the worst passes he's made because it led to his worst pass of the game, which was his interception in the end zone, which he was trying to do the exact same thing that he had done earlier in the drive to Jesse James. This time he was going to TJ Hawkinson, but he underthrew it by about 5 yards. Look at the play. TJ is going towards the back of the end zone. If that ball's at the back pylon, TJ has a good chance at it. Instead, it's 5 yards short. Just a horrible, horrendous pass that deserved to get picked off and killed the drive. Now, we got to talk a little bit about Stafford at this point. Now, a reminder, 2 years ago, he had probably the worst season of his career. We thought it was due to a back injury or conservative play calling with Jim Bob Cooter. Hard to say for sure. I think the back injury did have an impact on him. He wasn't throwing deep. He was playing very conservatively. Looked really bad. Last year was a great bounce back year. Played really well the first half of the season until he hurt his back again. This year is looking like one of the worst years of his career again. Definitely not in the top half. Definitely in the bottom half years of his career. Is this something that is a permanent thing at this point? Is this where he's going to be from this point forward? That's a major concern with Stafford. Now, I like to regularly see how Stafford ranks against the rest of the league. Now, with the new players coming to the league over the past 3-4 years, athletic, young gunslingers, a lot of them have bypassed Stafford at this point. So one way I like to look at how Stafford ranks is first look at which quarterbacks are worse than him. And I have 9 quarterbacks who are definitely worse than him, or likely worse than him at least. Ryan Tannehill, that's close, but I would say Stafford's better. You got Fitzpatrick, Bridgewater, Minshew, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Nick Foles, whoever's starting for Washington at this point. Currently it's Kyle Allen. Previously it was Dwayne Haskins. And then the Denver quarterback who started the season, Drew Lock. So 9 quarterbacks are definitely worse than Stafford. So worst case, Stafford is around 23rd in the league. Now, quarterbacks the same tier of him are, I would rank Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, Phillip Rivers, and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's looked pretty good the first couple games he started or played. He's thrown some ability to throw it deep, made some real difficult throws deep, and Stafford has not done that to this point except for the Marvin Hall pass that got called back. He has not been throwing good deep balls this entire year. He hasn't even thrown deep much. Where's Marvin Hall been this whole year? Why is Stafford and the offense not going deep? So those 5 guys are about in the same tier as Stafford. So if Stafford's in the middle range of that, then he's around 20th in the league. Now, these are the guys that are possibly better than Stafford. Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow. Quarterbacks that are almost definitely better than Stafford. Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, Josh Allen, Cam Newton. Now, a couple of those guys, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, a lot of people like to compare them to Stafford, see that they're in about the same tier. However, those 2 guys have won NFL MVPs and been to Super Bowls. Now, I know it's a team game. The team is important for these guys to win MVPs and Super Bowls. However, they've reached heights that Stafford has never, even come close to reaching. So at this point, Stafford's in about the 20 range, so below average for starting quarterbacks. Now, that doesn't mean we can't win a Super Bowl with him. I think we can win a Super Bowl with him. However, it requires to have a good running game and a good defense. Well, our running game is decent this year. It's probably the best it's been in many, many years, maybe even in the past 10 years. We're breaking off a lot of good chunk runs. We got 3 solid running backs. I thought we had even 4 or 5, but we got rid of Ty Johnson. We do have Bo Scarborough still left. He's still on IR. But we got 3 solid running backs. The offensive line is looking solid, and we're breaking off a good number of positive runs. However, let's talk about the worst part of the team, which is the defense. Matt Patricia's defense. Cory Undlin's defense. I'd hoped that Cory Undlin would come in, make a big change with the defense, and become the Lions' 2020 MVP by how much he could change the defense. However, early on the season, it's hardly changed at all. The worst part of the defense, there are too many to choose from, but the worst part is the poor run defense. The other team gets 5, 6, 7 yards almost every single run. Those are plus plays for a run. Negative plays would be 2 or less yards. A wash would be 3 or 4 yards on a running play, say a 1st and 10. Well, the Lions defense is rarely getting run stops, rarely getting the offense into negative running plays, 2 or less yards. The entire game against the Saints, we didn't see a run stop until the 4th quarter, where they put together a couple run stops and actually forced a couple punts, which didn't even occur until the 4th quarter. The defense the past couple games has been either get an interception or give up a touchdown. They can't force punts. They can't get 3 and outs because their running game defense is so poor that the offense is always in a 3rd and short, if they even get to 3rd down. And with how often teams are going for on 4th down these days, for about half the field, that 3rd and short is 4 down territory. They have 2 plays to get like 2 yards. And the Lions can't stop anybody within 5 yards. So that's why they can't force any punts. The other horrible part about the defense is no pass rush and poor coverage on the back end. I would say the pass rush is worse. It's hard to judge a coverage when you have absolutely no pass rush. But the pass rush is non-existent. Trey Flowers, who we paid $18 million a year for, I hardly ever see him near the quarterback. I hardly ever hear his name called. Romeo has been playing more impactfully than Trey Flowers lately. Okwara had another sack this game to go along with his sack last week against Arizona. And he had another pressure of Drew Brees pretty quickly after his sack. Julian Okwara has hardly gotten any play. He's only gotten 20-some snaps the entire 4 games. The coaches are not getting this guy ready to play. We need edge rushers, and Julian Okwara is barely getting on the field. So there's a huge question about what's going on there. Our linebackers are not blitzing effectively. The only guy that's done it semi-effectively is Jamie Collins, who's had 2 or 3 good pressures. Jared Davis, who has in the past, including just last year, been a very effective pass rusher, going up the middle, blasting running backs. He hardly played this game against the Saints. He's been non-existent this year. Jelani Tavai has not gotten near the quarterback this year. So our linebackers are not getting to the quarterback. Our D-line is getting nowhere near the quarterback. So quarterbacks just have all day to stand back there and pick apart our secondary, which is not playing exceptionally either. Our first round pick, Jeff Okudah, has had a rough start to the season. He's often many yards away from his man. He's made some splash plays, a couple in run stops, good tackling. He had the nice interception, which was a bad throw, but he did a good job with catch-up speed and a diving interception there. However, almost every other play, he's nowhere near his guy, giving up way too much cushion or confused about where he's supposed to go. In this game against the Saints, one of the key plays was late in the game. On third down, Drew Brees had to make a pass to get a first down to end the game, and he threw it right at Okudah's way. Okudah was close. He got his hand in there, but he didn't look back for the ball, and he wasn't physical enough to knock the ball out. Now, some people gave him a hard time last week for looking back for a ball that ended up going over his head to DeAndre Hopkins. And I had said last week, I am totally fine with him looking back for the ball. I want him to look back for the ball, even if that gets him beat occasionally. Well, this was a situation where he should have looked back for the ball. He might have been able to knock it down or even get an interception because he was pretty close to his guy. So we need to talk about Matt Patricia. Today's Friday. Doesn't look like he's going to get fired during this bye week. I would be totally fine if he got fired because it's been over 2 years and we haven't seen improvement in the defense, which is his baby. He's a defensive coach, and we have one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the entire league. We make Trubisky look good. The guy who gets benched 2 games later, we make that guy look good. So what is Matt Patricia doing? His scheming and aggressiveness on the offensive side, it isn't great either. Last year, one of the problems with the offense was too passive. Too many runs on first down. Too much trying to run out the clock in the second half and giving up leads. Well, they did the exact same thing at the start of this year with the Bears game. So that first game against the Bears showed me that is this guy learning anything strategically? Is this guy learning anything about his schemes that's going to make him better? Because we just see horrible schemes on the defensive side. We see the other team, the Saints, name a quarterback, name a team. They're running the same plays against the Lions defense. They're running these short crossing routes that give up huge amount of yardage, which brings me to the worst play of the game. All right, every time the Lions lose, I like to think of the worst play of the game. So let me set it up here. The Lions are winning 14-7. The previous drive, the Saints had marched right down the field without any resistance. This is their third drive now. They're continuing to march right down the field, no resistance. They have a 1st and 10 at the Detroit 14-yard line, so they're about to go in for a score again. They haven't had a negative play yet in the entire game, except for the tip pass interception. So 1st and 10, Taysom Hill is in at quarterback. This is a guy who fumbled the previous game and killed their chance to beat Green Bay. Well, he fumbles again and causes the Saints to be in a 2nd and 16 at the 20-yard line. This is the first negative play for the Saints. Oh my God, maybe we can actually force a field goal, being it's a 2nd and 16, and maintain our lead. What happens on that second down play is emblematic of the Lions defense and how poor it is. They give up a 19-yard pass on a short crossing route that goes all the way to the 1-yard line. A stupid short crosser route, which somebody should be able to tackle that guy for a 5-yard gain, somehow goes for 19 yards because there is nobody anywhere close to that guy. And there's nobody anywhere close to that guy the past 3 games either. So what are we doing on defense? Matt Patricia, what is going on? Are you watching film? Are you changing anything? Are you just hoping our defensive players can play better. Well, I don't like that plan. I think you need to scheme better. And I'm sick of hearing about how the players need to play better and blaming stuff on injuries, because the Saints had 6 starters out due to injury. Other teams have players out due to injury all the time. They plug in guys we've never heard of, but the scheme is better, which allows the players to succeed. So the Lions keeping Matt Patricia for the rest of the year, I'm fine with that as well, because who's going to take over at this point? Probably Darrell Bevell. I would actually have a little bit more hope if Patricia is fired and Darrell Bevell took over. Maybe Patricia is holding things back and Darrell Bevell has some ideas that he's not able to implement because of Matt Patricia. Or maybe Cory Undlin is able to take full control of the defense and do whatever he wants. We don't know anything about Cory Undlin. We don't know how much control he has on the defense. But I'd rather give him full control than Matt Patricia, who we've already seen for 2+ years. But I'm fine keeping Matt Patricia for the rest of the season as well. The Lions have a few games coming up that are against mediocre teams. Of course, the Lions are a below mediocre team, so we should be favored to lose most of those games. But maybe somehow, magically, Matt Patricia improves his schemes, improves his strategy. Although I did like him going for the 2-point conversion after scoring a touchdown down by 14. Analytically, that is the right move, assuming you're converting about 50% of your 2-point conversions. However, the Lions of the past 2 years have been 0 for 7 on 2-point conversions, so they're really poor at these short yardage things. And the Saints game, the Lions 2-point conversion was a lucky play. Stafford throws up a jump ball pass in the back of the end zone for TJ, who reaches over a guy and makes a great catch. So that was a highly unlikely play to succeed. So for the Lions, it might not actually be a good idea to follow the analytics, because their percentage conversion rate on these 2-pointers are very low. But I like the aggressive move. They're down by 6. If the defense can do anything at all to stop anybody, they could have had a chance to win the game and steal a game, basically, from a game the Saints were basically dominating. Now, I know the Saints punted a couple times in the fourth quarter. Maybe the defense stepped up. I think more likely the Saints just got tired, got bored, realized that they could score anytime they wanted, so there was lack of urgency. Or maybe they were thinking about COVID and trying to fly home as quickly as they could. Who knows? But the Lions somehow got a couple stops. But when the time came at the end of the game to make another stop, they couldn't come close to doing it. There was a 3rd down running play, 3rd and 5, make a stop, get the ball back. The Saints run an end around type play, and there's nobody anywhere close. I think it was Kamara who went for easily 5 yards. He just jogged, got 5-10 yards. No one was anywhere close to even touching him, and they ended the game right there. So the Saints were able to do whatever they wanted this game. It was a blowout game. Saints dominated, not nearly as close as the score indicated. Hopefully things can turn around in the bye week. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for listening. This is Jimmy Liao. Feel free to leave YouTube comments or find me on Twitter at Jimmy Liao MD. Open to any debates, discussion, disagreements. I would appreciate it if you subscribe or rate. Haven't had a rating yet. First person who gives me a 5-star rating, you'll be in my heart forever. Thanks.